Welcome back to the Angry Craftsman. I'm Tommy. Today we took a break from work. Well, I can't say we took a break. My CNC's been running all day doing 3D carves for plaques, but my boss or my adult supervision took a break from her work, and we had another small business come over today, Bluegrass Bourbon Company, located about 10 minutes down the street here in Kentucky. They've already purchased a 35-100 from Thunder Laser. They're just waiting on its arrival, and they finally stopped long enough to come over here and take a look to get an idea of how to run the machine, as well as a few things about light burn. They've been running RD Works, and currently they have two Boss lasers. Throughout this video, you will hear us discussing the differences between the Boss and the Thunder. My experience with Boss is we've owned one, and I've worked on hers. So I don't have the best experience with them, so bear with us. We talk about a little bit of everything. This is a rather small work area, so you had my wife who runs the lasers and three other ladies in here looking at this machine, plus me, trying to move the camera. And before I forget, I'm so sorry about the bouncing of the camera as I had to move it around. It was difficult to try to get everything, and by no means am I a film person. Everything here that we do is very little video editing, minus some transitions and stupid stuff like that. I'm not sure how to do most of it, and don't really choose to learn. So I hope you enjoy this. I appreciate you watching, and then we'll be back after it's over.
Everything else is the same. We added these the other day, so yours are not going to come with this. It's just this plate here. These buttons are mounted onto this plate on the machine. We added this. It's an extra gauge so that we know what pressure the low air is blowing at. The reader doesn't go low enough. It's actually blowing air. And what pressure the high air is at. So this is something that's that Thunders do. High air, low air. In light burn, you've seen it. So so we're talking about high and low air. So I'm going to make a cut setting and an engrave setting. So I always use red for cut pretty much for wood. I use blue for engrave on wood, and then I adjust it for material.
I haven't shown her the color tabs.
Well, it's like when I worked at the frame shop, then at night I would do the research because we had to do everything Corel because they had epilogue machines. I like them. Really, honestly, and those are really expensive machines, but I like these better. To me, it just makes more sense. So over here with air, it's green for on and red for off. Off isn't off. Off is low air. So you want the high air when you're cutting, and low air is typically used for engraving. If you're cutting acrylic, do y'all ever do anything with acrylic? Then it would just be low air for everything on acrylic. But I hate doing acrylic too. Like my brother does it. So that's the buttons there and how that translates into light burn. So everything is keys. It's not just a little latch. You have to use a key to open all the doors. More than just this door has a sensor. So if it's open, it won't run. Safety feature. These side doors, I think it's any of the blue. No, actually we figured out it's these doors down here too, for some reason. But when you have to clean out all your bits, yeah, you have to open it with a key. But this pulls out, which is really nice. And then you can just pull out the big chunks, vacuum out the rest of it. No, not 10. It comes with quite a few. I just keep one out, and the other ones I keep in the toolboxes.
Put a little
big.
change. Yeah.
So I'm usually pretty good, and I always put it back in my little book. Somebody else doesn't always put it back.
I'm horrible for it.
And I have to say, "Where's my key?" So, so like it works for all the Thunders. It's just the same key. So I guess if you really lose them, you can be like, Thunder, I need some more keys. I'm sure they've had people do that before. The controller is still the same type of controller. It's just newer. So I don't remember if you have these buttons to raise and lower the bed without having to go into the menu. So this is nice. You don't have to go into the menu or do anything.
How long does it take to, like, say, do a whole barrel head? How long does that take?
I can do it in like 30 minutes.
As opposed to an hour and 14, and that's pushing it at 400 speed, which does nothing,
Where your boss really doesn't like more than 350,
right?
It gets,
you're going to learn that the difference in the capabilities of the Thunder versus the Boss are astronomical. Your boss, the 100-watt tube, is truly not a 100-watt tube because the power supply is not regulated properly. The tube, yes, can go up to 100 watts. However, with the
It
power
can't really
supply,
maintain
it can't
that.
maintain 100 watts. When you get 100 watt of this, and Thunder will correct me when they see the video, but I think it's like 120 or 130 watt tube and the 100, and it's gated down to 100. So
that
at
you can
100%,
actually get the full rating. Yes, what you're paying for.
Yeah.
You actually get what you're paying for. Unlike with some of the other companies. So which is really nice.
this will run all day long, accurate and clean engravings at 500 to 600 millimeters a second.
Now,
Kayla's like, when you get in the
the
big one?
faster you go, you do
More integrity you lose with
no,
engraving.
no,
No.
not at all. You can lose. It can make your whole job take longer because the head has to travel beyond its job to slow down and then to speed back up when it changes direction. So
Okay.
in Lightburn, when you click this little monitor thing, that shows you the preview for the job. And this is in the most updated Lightburn that it does this. It shows the travel. So this red here on the sides, that's showing where the laser head travels. So as I go up in speed, that red's gonna get further and further and further. Sometimes it's that sweet spot, and sometimes it's this is what works for this material, and that is what it is.
At 1,000 millimeters a second, the head travels about 2 inches past in each direction. So even though that doesn't seem like a long distance with the speed that it's going, those seconds add up when you're talking about an hour engrave.
So, but this. So this 200 millimeter square, approximately 200 millimeter square, is gonna take like 20 minutes to engrave, which for a solid square like that is really not, kind of thinking about, like asking about the barrelhead or whatever. Like, that's crazy, nobody would ever do that, but
So do you have it in millimeters or inches?
I do everything in millimeters.
Get
It
accustomed to
actually-
millimeters. I
It
hate to
makes
say
so
it.
much more sense. I can flip back and forth when I need to. I still have regular stuff, but he, got me everything. And granted, it has it on the other side too. But I've got everything in millimeters. It's just
Is it more accurate?
Metric system is always more accurate than imperial, plain and simple.
when I measure, I'm not trying to do points and all that other stuff. I can literally go. I need 555 millimeters. Done.
Instead of I need 4 inches, 4 3/8 of an inch.
Yeah, trying to figure out what this converts to decimals on there and.
So I just need to get her millimeter.
everything in millimeters.
It's just so much easier, and then
Sorry.
it takes
You were
a
so
little bit.
excited.
It takes a little bit, but it's just
Get
it's
photos
just
of this
better.
stuff so you can order it.
It's all on Amazon.
It's a righty lefty, so it doesn't matter which way.
You hold it, which is nice.
You can read it from the right or read it from the left. And then your steel rules, not a ruler, but a rule.
It goes all the way to the end. There's not like that dead space, you know? Now in your toolbox, you will get this really cute one, is one of the many things that comes in the toolbox, but, you know, it only goes so big. And sometimes I need big stuff and then sometimes I need really big stuff.
So
But I
just
think-
all of your measuring equipment is just millimeters. That makes it a lot.
Yeah, everything's in millimeters. He stops telling me I need it to be, you know, 6.5 inches or whatever, cause I'm like, okay. Sometimes still though, because people will be like, well, you know, about 12 inches, okay. And then I kick it over or I do the math or whatever. I have a conversion app on my phone, but it's really easy to just switch it back and forth real quick. So you just click the gears up here for settings, and I always keep it on millimeters a second, but when I need to see sizes, I switch it over to the lowest one, which is the inches in millimeters a second. So that was, you know, over 7.5 inch square. I see what I need to see, and I switch it back, because it begins to mess with things, and that's frustrating. When I'm used to, you know, doing things a certain way, and you will get used to it. It does take a little bit, but I guess I've been doing it a while now. So
We convert everything 25.4. I've been doing that for 4 years, literally just converting everything over. 24.
right, and just do it all in millimeters. I understand that your Etsy listings you need to write in inches and all of that stuff, but you know,
The engraving, that's not important for us in engraving.
yeah.
Right,
So, but for speed and power and
That's what it
everything,
is.
everything's in millimeters and all. So what else? So something else that's different from Boss and potentially other machines, that is different with Thunder, because Thunder has the high and low air, which, oh yeah, the guy who designed Lightburn has a Thunder. So that's kinda nice when the people who design the things that you use have the same machines. So you can't just hit start in Lightburn. It will screw stuff up, and it will always come on with low air. And when you're cutting, that's not so good.
Well, y'all use Windows, right? Not Macs.
yeah, she's got
It doesn't matter, you still have to send it to the controller. That's what they tell everybody.
It's just get into that habit of sending it.
Right.
It sends the entire file at one time,
Mhm.
and then you hit the controller to
So-
make it work.
You just click send. If it's already a saved
Did you know
thing that has a
Well,
name,
I knew that, but it didn't seem to matter with
it doesn't. It
your
doesn't with the
machine.
Boss,
Yeah,
but it does with Thunders.
Yeah, because they
'Cause-
said like it won't, it'll like start engraving before it receives all of
Yes.
the information.
Yes.
So Thunder has a proprietary piece called the TL timer, and then their firmware is different. Sometimes Macs have issues with their firmware, sometimes, and it's better to send it, and then, or shift, what is it, control,
Shift send.
Shift send. Will send it, and then it starts on its own.
Yeah, it won't, cause I've got it open and stuff, but, so yeah, you hit send, like I said, if it's a saved existing file, it'll come up with whatever that file name is, otherwise it just sends it as Lightburn. I send a ton of stuff that's just called Lightburn, because I'll have 2 windows open, and I'll have one with the main stuff, and I'll just pull over, so like I'm cutting a ton of earrings. I'll just have one with all the different earrings open, and I just pull over what I'm cutting one at a time, onto the specific woods. But, this controller, because you're sending all that information over, can only hold so much. Its memory is only so big. So you need to clear it out every now and again. So So you have to go to file list, and then delete all files. Yes, I wanna delete all the files, and then you just have to hit refresh. Even though there's nothing there, it's there. And it's easier to do it from Lightburn than it is to do it in the controller. Otherwise, like the other day, I was like, why am I keep getting errors? Why is it like, it's not even framing all the way, it's not doing anything right? It was full, and I just didn't think about it. So, and I had to remember again, that's why I literally just did it like last week, I had to remember, or he had to help me remember how to clear it all out and stuff, and then it was fine again. I think they hold like 200 jobs or something.
I don't remember, to be
So
honest with you.
it really, it just depends, if you wanna get into the habit of doing it weekly, you know,
Clear it on Friday.
yeah,
Clear it on Monday
clear it on
morning,
Friday or
whatever your
whatever.
workflow and
But
whatever
you're
you
there
decide.
once a week, so,
Yeah.
I mean,
At the end of the day.
you know, yeah, just clear it at the end of the day, or once a month, or whatever, it's really not, even as much as I run these, and sometimes it's like, once a month or whatever, it's not even, or less than that, it just depends on how much everything's running. What else is different?
I guess the big question is, what do you want to know? What do you want? What do y'all want to know specifically to these machines?
Real quick, the fans, so they're gonna send you the stupid little fish pump that y'all aren't gonna use. And then the exhaust fan, they send it with a plug that plugs it directly into the machine. We don't do that.
I've seen somebody posted in the group to not plug in the power source to the machine,
You can, it doesn't
Yeah.
hurt anything.
but they said not to.
That's their opinion. Some people do it and it's great and it works for them. If you're running short jobs, it's not good, because those fans take a little while before they get up to their full suction, and then by then the job's over and then the fan stops.
So they're sending an inline fan?
Yes,
Mhm.
they send it. It's
Oh.
Not those nasty.
I don't
big
remember
ones.
what the 35 has. The new ones, if it's a 6-inch or an 8-inch. I
I
know
think
the
it's a
51s
6-inch.
and 63s come with 8 inches. I think it's still probably
It's
a 6-inch.
It's a 6-inch for the 35, I'm pretty sure.
They have a very long time of spooling up to full speed.
So they
So-
won't evacuate all the smoke and stuff out. So, and this is partially because this is what we had when we had the Boss, is when we put our inline fan in, and it's just a,
You are not going to have the option right off the bat unless you upgrade your fan.
you'll have to do the things to do this, otherwise it does plug into your machine and that's how it comes. So,
Hear how long it took to come on. So if
So-
you're running a job that's a minute, then
and sometimes, you know, I'm running something that I know is gonna be really smoky and yucky, so I'll get it up to speed and then start the machine. And then, depending upon the wood, because some woods just stink to high heaven, or acrylic is disgusting and horrible. So you're gonna let that thing go for a while with that lid closed before you even open it. Because otherwise then, the whole building stinks. It's awful. So, yeah, I've got, remotes on both machines for both of my fans so that I can control it instead of the machine controlling it. There are ways to adjust that in Lightburn, and,
timer
On-
doesn't do it. It's just in Lightburn.
there's a way to leave it on longer.
In Lightburn, the teal
No.
timer.
I thought on the machine, there was a way to leave it on longer.
I think it's just strictly from Lightburn.
But in Lightburn, all it does is, when you send it, you say like,
It starts the
start
fan
the fan,
beforehand.
and then 10 seconds later or whatever, then it starts the job.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do it and like have the lid open when they, all these weird things. I don't know how to do all that. I have my remotes. That's what works for me. There may be other videos about the fans and the things and stuff out there, but that's not, unfortunately, that's not how we operate here. Oh, 2 power switches. They're right here. So you have to turn them both on. They're labeled, everything's labeled really nicely. You turn the main one on and then you turn the laser one on. If you don't turn the laser one on, you will get a water error because that laser switch is also the power for your chiller. And nothing will run without the water circulating, in the laser tube and stuff. So if you forget to do it, the machine won't do anything. And you just,
It's not like the one at home, those won't run unless the children.
right.
Right, but you physically
this-
have to turn them on.
But because that chiller is also plugged into the machine and not plugged into the wall, the machine powers the chiller.
The machine powers everything.
Does it have to?
No,
But
but,
why not?
So the machine, so Eric plug the fan,
everything gets plugged into
Everything
the
gets
machine.
plugged into the machine.
oh, I thought you were saying not to plug the fan into the machine.
Everything gets plugged into the machine. That's how they are sending you all of the cords and everything
Yes.
is designed to plug into the machine.
Gotcha.
If you choose to buy a upgraded fan or the Infinity
Yeah.
inline,
Yeah, the inlines,
then
yeah.
it comes with the remote that gets plugged straight into the wall.
So yeah, our fan's not plugged into the machine because I'm running it. It does its own thing. So if I forget to turn it on, then that's on me, which happens. And then
But
I
the
look over
chiller
and it's
will
full
be
of smoke.
plugged into the machine. Your air will not, because the auxiliary air or the additional air with the compressor, that's a whole separate system. It's plugged in, but it's not powered through the machine.
Right, okay. What questions do you have?
It's hard when you see the thing to think of the questions
Yeah.
until you get in there and start doing the things, yeah. So you get the toolbox, just like the Boss comes with the toolboxes. These ones just come with some extra little things. It's pretty much the same, like I said, it comes with that one ruler that I just keep over there. Lens removal tool, we don't use it, we make our own. 3D printed so we don't scratch the lens. So we never have to worry about that metal scratching the lens.
How often do you clean your lenses?
When they need to be cleaned. So sometimes I'll check them several times throughout the day. Every time I do a lens swap. So when we're cutting, we use a 4-inch lens. And every time I swap out the
Is
lenses.
that the Benny kit?
This is yes and no. It's like the Benny kit, but we just purchased what we needed. But it's the same thing. So this lens is permanently affixed into this tube. So if I fry this lens, we have to purchase this whole tube again. But it makes it cleaning a lot easier. I can just wipe it and go back to business and make sure it's dry before you stick it back in and start. Because if there's any moisture on it, you'll fry your lens.
So you're used to the Benny kit that you bought for the Boss, and that's how it was labeled because they worked with that gentleman, and that's what they named it. You can still go through American Photonics and order the same full kit or
Here's
the individual pieces
small one.
that you want. It's not the same purchase. Boss has a 20 millimeter opening or tube, and Thunder's is 21 millimeters. So you have to get the 21 millimeter tube, but it's still a 20 millimeter lens. Don't get confused with
You
that.
can just buy the lenses to fit what comes stock from American Photonics.
So what they're sending me,
Did you get the 4-inch lens?
yeah,
Okay, then you can just buy replacement
Yeah,
lenses
just buy
and I can
for
cut
it.
with that.
That's what
Yeah.
you're supposed to cut with it.
Yeah. You can
Especially-
cut with a 2-inch thin material. So like up to more than a quarter of an inch or whatever.
If you go slow enough and enough
anything-
passes, you'll get through.
Anything beyond that, really, I can switch to the 4-inch lens.
So how
And
fast is it cut?
what are we cutting?
Oh, I bought a file.
Okay,
Right.
so here we go.
Oh, I've never cut anything that thick.
That's very thick.
11.5 minutes. It was the shape of Kentucky and 2 mini cutting boards.
4-inch lens, what, 4? Are you running at 4 or 30?
4 millimeters a second at 90% power. And this one cut through, that's why this piece is not in the shop.
It's a little under 1 inch thick.
Sometimes it doesn't cut all the way through because this right here, that density is different than this part of the wood right here.
And your 100 watt will do it. You just probably have to slow it down because this was cut on the 130.
Yeah, I do all that on the big one.
Oh, I won't cut anything out.
But you can look, and my hands are clean. There's no
And
char
that's
coming
solid
off of it.
cherry.
You're gonna cut plywood, correct?
Yeah,
You're gonna have char.
That's just,
Plywood's horrible to cut. You're going to cuss like me.
MDF's gonna have char.
I promise you that because you're gonna have a difficult time with the glues. You're gonna have a difficult time with the metal flakes that are in there.
And one board is not the same as the next board, even though they're literally like this when you buy them.
And the
Well,
same
I've
board's
been
not the same board.
cutting-
Yeah, sometimes one half a board is different than the other half a board.
so you had told me about this, so then I went to Menards and that's what all I get.
Is that the maple MDF?
Mm-hmm, yeah, it cuts better, I mean, it really does, when my bed's level. So like on our boss right now, we can only cut this back 12 inches square on the
awful.
bed. It's horrible, bro, I've been in tears all week, it's horrible. So I can cut that, if I cut anything bigger on the bed, I make sure it's a straight edge on this side, so that I can just take it back to the scroll saw and fit through there, I'm done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that takes about 15 to 20 minutes to even cut that.
Okay.
Show us, Wizard.
Okay, I wanna make some adjustments here real quick.
Sometimes comes in a little bag with the keys tied somewhere or something. Your machine will not operate correctly until you input these settings into Lightburn. And you have to do it in millimeters.
That's what she was talking about, okay.
And then you can switch back to inches or whatever you want to do, but you have to be in millimeters when you enter this. Otherwise, all of your engravings will look fuzzy or kind of doubled. So this is this card for the, yeah, this one's really good. I can't use this on this machine or, in Lightburn for this machine. It's separate. So if you replace your tube, you have to redo this. I don't understand all of it, but it's a thing. I don't know how to make it.
What do you do with the card? You just get the info off of it?
Yeah, you input these settings into Lightburn.
So you need to take pictures of it up for your phone and all that thing
No,
for the info?
no. Once you
When-
put it in once,
Oh,
it's,
gotcha.
yeah.
When we come to set up, okay, it will all be
Oh, I
done
forgot we were covering this.
for you. We'll show you and make you do it, but we'll stand over your shoulder going,
That's more keys.
click here, click here, click here.
Got
Here's
that?
where you input them in.
It might, I
They
don't know,
should
I've
be
never
on
plugged
that
this
thumb
in. It
drive.
might be on this thumb drive too,
Okay.
but I don't look at the thumb drive when I get it. 'Cause,
What are you diffusing?
Peppermint, and there might be a little eucalyptus left in there. You get all kinds of Allen wrenches and random stuff. You get this cool bottle of lens cleaner, and then there's a thing of oil. Don't confuse them. One time in China, they put the labels on wrong, and people were like, So lens cleaner, and then they send you a package of these wipes for your lenses and mirrors and stuff. Okay.
So, I'm gonna,
So anyway, I don't, it's not hard and fast, I still always check it. Menu, enter. Make sure you are using the stock lens. Autofocus only works with the 2-inch lens, which is the lens that comes on the machine. If you're using the 4-inch lens, don't use autofocus. If you're using any of these weird American photonics lenses, never, ever, 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 ever. You will slam your bed into this. You're pretty high
Which is why we don't autofocus.
will have a big old hole in it, and then your alignment's gonna be all out of whack, and you're gonna be trying, and it's not gonna be fun.
So did you just autofocus it right now?
So I just auto-focused it, and then,
So how can you focus it when it's not even on?
so those sensors there is your autofocus. So if my material's back here, it's just gonna autofocus to this. As long as your material is in between those, then it knows. Now, when I'm doing 1 inch thick material and I just throw it on there and hit autofocus, it gets very confused. I have to lower the bed way down and then I can hit autofocus, but again, I'm using a 2-inch lens for the other one to cut, so it doesn't matter anyway. If I'm engraving on the thick stuff though, I will just to get it close. But if you're putting in something really thick like that and you don't have it lower than the thing, it gets confused.
Your boss uses the head and that spring to autofocus.
It's awful.
Which I don't ever use.
So those sensors are passive infrared devices. So it's a light beam that goes across them, and when the material raises and breaks it, it stops the focus. It stops the bed from the Z from going up, and then it'll go and kind of wiggle itself back out. That's autofocus. The key, though, if you always want to use autofocus with the 2-inch, is you have to do the measurements and make sure your slip ring. So when I wiggled the head earlier, there was that blue ring that I kept hitting. You can loosen that and make minor adjustments to it once you've measured everything to the 6 millimeter port, which is your focus.
So, it comes with this focus tool with everything in millimeters. But the thickness of it, when you put it in this way, is 6 millimeters. So we're engraving, so you don't
Okay.
want it to, or,
Okay,
Doesn't matter.
okay, then I'll have to change the
so then you drop the head to,
Yeah, and
The
this
2-inch
one's
lens
tight.
for engraving and cutting is 6 millimeters.
Yeah, but you know when you engrave, sometimes you want to back off a little bit.
Yes.
So, but we also cut Tristan printed these 3D printed blocks. So we have these two, and see, because it's flexed a little bit.
Because when we got one for the 130, you could see the curve in it.
And then this thing's clear sitting on white, so there's no problem about misplacing, but these other blocks I can see. And we have them for the different, so for that big lens, we've got the different block for it. Alright, that's all focused. How big is this actually?
13 by 14 centimeter.
Cause I don't really run. I
What-
do material test cards for everything. That's what I would have done with this. So the lady that came last week, and she brought a material that I hadn't used before, she had plenty, so I ran material test cards on both machines because she's looking to get a 130 watt. But I wanted to do her project on this one because I knew it would turn out exactly how she wanted. Because she drove 4 hours to get here. We didn't have all day to muck around with settings and whatever. We needed to just kind of get it done while we were doing the whole demo and stuff. So let's
Your first few days with the laser, cut material test cards. Do nothing but material test cards. Take an old barrel lid that it's screwed up or warped or whatnot, throw it in there and run the engraving portion of the material test
I
card. on
even
it.
did one on cardboard, just because, just to like, I took a day or two and just ran material test cards when we got this, before I really did anything else. Because we do such a wide variety of different things.
See,
I've got just random, see. I
run your
just-
material test on it.
And I just didn't use the cut portion of it, I just pulled out the engraving portions of it.
So small.
That's the 1.5-inch lens. The detail you can get out of an 1.5-inch lens is amazing.
Is that what this is?
No, that's a 2-inch lens.
So 1.5 inch.
That's from American Photonics that we use.
Okay.
You may have to show us how to do test cards, cause I've never done test cards.
I've already got it. That's what I was hoping there was enough room on that piece right there to run, a test card, cause I don't actually know the settings for that material.
Said it was maple MDF. It's maple veneered MDF, Raylan.
Huh?
It's maple veneered MDF, correct?
I believe so.
All I have that's similar is this birch that's not the same.
She made little boxes. This one was mine.
Yeah, I
So sold
wanted
in
wanted drawers.
one of these. And she made little drawers.
So, and I've got the stuff for the test cards for the one machine on the one side and the test cards for the other one. But I've also got like extra lens wipes and stuff in here too. I've got, before we had a printer, I just bought wipes. I still use them sometimes. Just because they're faster and easier and I don't have to wait as long for the cleaner to dry on. There should be enough room, but I don't wanna chance it. So,
Hold on, sweetie.
you might know.
You got those?
Yeah.
No, I've never done test. I don't even know how to do it. Yeah, this would be the dream, but
Well, there's one bigger than this one.
no.
I'm just saying,
This is big enough.
there is one bigger.
I don't think we would ever need
Is this one gonna fit in the barn door?
Yeah, I measured it. It'll go sideways.
Mm-hmm.
Some people put these things in houses, like.
I seen somebody put it there. I seen a guy last night, he posted it, his jacket was torn off. So that'd be grounds for divorce.
Yeah, when people talk about having them in the house, I'm like, y'all are nuts.
The first place was the, up on the hill, the liquor store, right? Wasn't it when that one got moved? Or where, is that
Yeah,
where the
that's what I
first,
was-
that's where it got delivered, the first one?
So you've only had them delivered at
So,
retail
No,
locations.
they delivered it at Astor's by the, by Otter Creek Tavern. They
Yeah.
delivered it there. And then we took it apart and put it on our dolly, flipped it on its side and wheeled it back
To
in a hallway.
Radcliffe,
And then from
Astor.
Astor's to Radcliffe, I hired, Corbin's Moving.
And they were
And
not
then
too bad. They were
from
like,
Radcliffe, Roger, Josiah and I moved it in our trailer home. That's where it's staying.
I'd use the settings for whatever you use for birch.
Yeah.
To be honest with
I'll
you.
just up the power zone.
I take a picture of the video of this. And I brought my little stuff that I got over there, so you can tell me what else. She said to bring it, so that whatever I need.
Okay, so we're gonna do this at 25 millimeters a second, at 80% power, and then I did 75% minimum power. I'll run it all day long, it's super high.
Cause I cut mine, I said this is just how bad mine is. I cut it at 98% speed 5.
Is that 5 inches or 5 millimeters?
Oh, well, I just put speed 5 and power 98. That's what I do. I don't know what else to do.
That's because you're using RD Works, right?
No, I mean,
Or is it light burn?
yeah, but I didn't know what to change it over to. Cause we just started Lightburn last week and a half.
Okay.
I told you, I know enough to be dangerous, very dangerous. Toxic dangerous, if you want the truth.
So I sent it over. I've already framed it from inside Lightburn, so it shows the perimeter of what it's gonna do, whether it's cut or engrave or whatever. Then hit origin, because of how I have job origin and all of that stuff set up. I always like it to be in the middle of what I'm doing. I think unless I'm doing cups and then I change it, but for the most part, it's always in the middle. It just makes things easier. Some people we'll start from the rear corners and I think it's just why. Yeah, origin. Double check frame again real quick just to make sure. Turn my air on. Make sure that my air is on here because we're cutting.
What is it, just a cut on the grave?
Yeah.
Just cut it
If you'll notice, the red light comes on, that means the laser is working.
Yeah, I don't work that fast.
It might not be coming. Now I can cut 3mm Baltic birch at 40 millimeters a second. So not twice as fast as this, but almost twice as fast. But again, with this being, and yeah, I don't think it's actually, it might be. When the material's not perfectly level, sometimes you can see the piece drop and you know that it cut. Some of my earrings earlier. But this is nice and flat, so. I just worry about the font being too thin.
Usually I'll take in the lines on a font, cut that in. Is that yeah. Sign I'm supposed to send out in October. They haven't paid for it.
No.
It's a friend of mine, he's a realtor, so he wanted a key they could hold and take pictures
Yeah.
and something on it. So, yeah, he asked me to do that back in October. It was sheen, and all had a little spot, so I did get the key cut, the last part of the key, I had to cut the scrolls off. Definitely does not run that fast, mine does not run that fast.
So.
We would still be down on the 6 over here.
So, all right, I will show you guys about the material test cards because I have 2 windows of Lightburn open. So you can either go right to the, like I mentioned, Thunder Laser USA, if not Thunder Laser, that's China. I don't want their website. I don't even know what their website looks like, but I don't want to think about it. And into the knowledge base is where they have all of their everything, the answers to all the things, if you know what to look for, pretty much. You know, talking about things, so like the cheat sheet, important preparation and first steps, shipping and delivery, uncrating your Thunder Laser, you know, stuff like that that's good to know when you're first getting a machine. And I usually just, I usually just Google and,
Well, that's specific
The
service.
difference between them and
Yeah.
Boss, I've noticed, is Boss embeds their videos in their website, so you have to specifically type in what you're looking for.
right,
They don't have, so they have a tab for videos and tutorials, but it's just canned basics. So if you wanna know something specific, you've got to either search out in YouTube for somebody, or you have to type it in specifically because they embed it in the website. I do not understand why
So-
you would do that.
With Thunder Laser USA, you go to the knowledge base. Inside that knowledge base are all the articles that the tech support guys have written. Some of them are very in-depth. Some of them are written so in-depth that they're hard to understand. I love the guys to death, I really do. A couple of them are too smart for their own damn good. When it comes to dumbing things down a little bit, you'll see some more articles in there that are more layman's terms on things or common terminology. So you can look and find, I'm having issues with my chiller alarm. There's probably an article in there. How to hook up air, auxiliary air. There's an article in there. The usual suspects, so the beeping means it's done. You'll see the red light went to green. So look at that and learn it and start going through the articles. They've linked videos. It's very clean, but for me it's hard to follow because you'll read a paragraph about something and they'll link a video. They have to keep the website clean. If not, you got a 300-page document and nobody wants to sit and try to read 300 pages. So they'll link, go, here's this, here's the link, it takes you to a different article that specifically discusses it. And then you go back and it's linked to another one. But they've got videos in there for uncrating, they've got videos in there for just about anything.
Plus, tons of people have posted their own on YouTube and stuff. So I just Googled Thunder Laser USA material test and made sure that I got to the material test file. There's two different pictures, so this is the old version, so some of my cards look like that. This is the old version. They updated it and changed some things so that because this bottom row doesn't work correctly on the old file. And then you just go down and download it, correct it, so this top one. So in Lightburn, again, I don't know if it cut, so.
While she's walking through that, I'm gonna check this real quick. To see. If you don't think it cut, just pin it down. God love these little damn double bits. Nope. Check one spot, don't mess with anything.
Again, certain materials you'll know because you can see it drop and stuff. So.
Yeah.
And then just hit start.
So you don't have to change the,
Now
there
it's
it
cutting.
goes.
You can see how it rocked a little bit
Yeah.
and you can tell, yeah.
Yep, there it goes, yeah.
So because we guessed at the wrong setting, but hence the reason why you do a material test card. On every
So-
material you do,
This is so much, oh my god.
It's not. It's really not. It's overwhelming today, but once you get back and you're doing take a day and all the materials that you use, just know that you're gonna take, this section of all of them, whatever, this approximate size, you might have to resize a little bit. So it comes up with this notes, and pretty much it says, don't mess with anything. Don't change any of the settings, leave it as is. And then you just click OK. I'm gonna zoom in so that we can all see it. So obviously the
You're gonna
acrylic
put a
was the
piece of
last one.
plain material in there, and it's gonna get it all,
Yep.
the holes.
Yep, yep, it does all of that. One thing that I may have had to do was, on all of these engraved settings down here, was turn off the air.
It would be precise every time.
I think was the only thing I had to do. So, and then you just put your text there.
Get it upstage, this stage, everyone's, those centers. We create a jig, and lay them in there, just set up, basically take a
No.
board like this.
I got a better way, you don't have to create a jig.
You get, see?
So you
This is
just
why we're here.
delete and you make sure
You may
and
have to
type
buy
in
something, but you don't have to
what
create it.
material, or just leave it blank all the time and you know what the
Trying to-
material is, or just write it in there.
No, I see what
I've
you're
added
doing.
80 watt or
Or corners,
130 watt.
or 90-degree corners,
I have two of the same
Pin and
ones.
batteries in place,
I try to keep
slip
them
them
in
in.
separate drawers, were like
Once
this.
you get your measurements,
I
you never
did
change
longs,
anything,
then
they're
you
always in the
talked
same
about
spot.
wrote the right
See,
thing up there.
Roger's ripping all the wood down, and none
You know,
are
like
straight.
that, I made
Doesn't
sure you
matter.
had the
But
right
Jason
thing
is
up there, but these are the
anal,
old
so
ones.
then when he takes it over, they'll be all straight,
And
so
then
then that's why I
Send
thought we
it,
could
run
just
it, I'll
lay it
show
all
you
in there.
guys,
The
when this
90
is
degree
done,
corners,
I'll run a material test card just so
pin
you
them
guys
in
can
place.
see what.
And like I said, if you always wanna do, you're always gonna do it here, you know, that's fine, it always stays in one spot or whatnot. And then you just slip it in, and it's rinse and repeat, over and over
There
again.
might, yeah, it might
You
be.
don't have to lay them all out, you put it in
But I
one
didn't wanna
time,
chance it,
Yeah,
leave it up on the
I
screen,
know.
But now
change
you-
your
but
image.
now,
Yeah.
now I can.
Change your image, send it, go. Change it, while it's running, change your image, get sent, go.
Which is kinda what we do now. I mean, we've got it set up like we have like a, not a jig, but we have our measurement where it's gonna go in the bed. And we just pull it out, the next one's on the machine, pull it out, get start, pull it out, get start. We're always moving on.
Once you pin it in place, it's not moving. It's over and over and over again.
So I was doing the Kentuckies yesterday and he had all the boards. I put the borders in there and then I just put the new board in. I frame it because sometimes, one board's a little narrower or another, just to check it, but the ones that I knew were all the same size, I could just say go, go, go,
That's
go.
something framing might help with the
Nice.
stays, so you can see what's gonna engrave on there.
And there's actually two, I'll show you, it draws a box, and then there's the other one is, right here with the circle, it's called the rubber band frame. So just imagine that whatever shape you put a rubber band around it. So if you're trying to frame a U, it's not gonna go through the center and actually trace the outside of it. It's just gonna cut across the top there, but then it'll do the round on the bottom. So, which is really helpful for getting stuff in tight places sometimes. Like if you're trying to use scrap material or something, or, you've got a finished piece and you're trying to get it exactly right on that finished piece.
But if you're thinking, okay, well, I can put 3 monograms up and put 3 of the centerpieces of those short staves or whatever it is in there and hit go, by time, unless you set it so that it engraves one at a time, the same amount of time is spent doing one, pulling it out, dropping it in, sending the next file. Your processes, I hate to say, will probably need to change, and your workflow or your processes, what you do, and those will be quick. Because they only should take, 5 minutes, 7 minutes to do the monogram?
Right now, we run 10 to 15 minutes on each one to engrave it.
Yeah.
That's why we're trying to get, sometimes 25. We did a Cambridge, Massachusetts police badge that I traced there. That one probably took long. That was really pretty.
So we know it cut, we watched everything kind of jiggle or whatever, so I can move the head out of the way.
Some may not have, we'll see.
Yeah, certain materials are. So when this kind of stuff happens, again, it's a material thing. I'll go through with the,
Yes.
one of the
Windows,
cutters
those two
and,
as well.
and cut the edges and stuff. That's just a material thing though. It's, again, running the test cards and stuff like that to really see what, speeds and powers and stuff. And then you spend 4 hours making everything on the machine.
Yeah, that got really thin. See, now
Yeah.
mine in the machine, if I'd have done that, it would have burned it
It
up.
would have burned right through it, yeah. Yeah, and yeah, but still, look, even though it's, look at,
Yeah, mine would have been all dirty and messy and instead of 4 would have
so,
burned up.
I'm gonna put this back in. And we're gonna, because there's like just enough room,
Oh.
hopefully, for a test card.
Yep.
I like these mats. Moose mat?
Amazon.
They're silicone,
Are you recording this?
so that
It's okay.
I cut through them all the time. they've got little cuts and stuff. But if I'm painting, then the paint comes off, glue, it comes off, whatever. And then if I really need
Epoxy
to, I
or
can just
resin.
chunk it and, you know, get new ones or whatever, and then my work surface is still okay.
So now what now? Okay, you did the test
I'm
card.
gonna do a test card. So we'll pretend I downloaded it and I brought it in. It comes up with a note when you first open it. A note shows up. Don't read the note. Go ahead, read the note the first time, whatever. Don't change anything. Everybody's gonna be like, oh my gosh, it says 100%, it says 100%. Don't change anything. It's scaled. There's special stuff. And it does all the, that's why there's all these colors down here too. But these are scaled too, even though they're just the color that it is.
So I may have you just come in one day just to do it.
Uh-huh.
But that is a very good.
I have it.
It's so underutilized. And a lot of people on social media, "Oh, what power settings do I use? What speed and power?" Stop asking the simple question. Do it yourself. Learn it yourself. Because even though we could have 3 80-watt machines sitting here, and each one might be just a hint different.
Just because, I mean, it just happened.
Because of the way it's focused, if this one is focused really good and this one is focused pretty good, I mean, there's a big difference between really good, pretty good, and dead on.
Right, yeah.
So,
So you can move your head from in Lightburn too on this move tab right here. And I have it set to move in increments of 1 millimeter at a time. I can do the big movements here, or I can click
So you're gonna tell me
continuous
what I
jog
need.
here and move bigger ones there. But I wanna be able to fine tune it, so I have it set to 1 millimeter. It's just, sometimes you gotta get things exactly centered or whatever. So now I'm just trying to like make sure that I'm not gonna touch the base machine. So I shrunk this a little bit, a little bit smaller than.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and frame it again just to see. Framing is the back. People are like, oh my gosh, I have to have a camera. I have to have a camera. No, you don't. You just need to learn how to use the frame. It is an amazing, amazing thing. It's awesome. I love it. Make sure I turn the fan back on. Again, you won't have to worry about that. Sometimes I get very annoyed. I'll just frame again. Yeah, you know, like it really, it doesn't hurt to just do it again. So see how far it's going beyond. It's because it's doing 1,000 millimeters a second. So that's a lot of wasted space and time. Yes, the machine can operate that fast, but it's not efficient.
It's just doing that right now.
Yeah, it's just doing one of these. And it's starting at the 1,000 and then working down. That's just, it does think it is. That's why I have so many of
It's so
them.
nice.
It is, because you can go, okay, I've got this particular project, I want it to,
Yeah.
okay, this doesn't rate well.
Each
Like, I don't,
this is what
but like this, you know, okay, I want this one right here. You know, to me,
these
that's
are my
the
pictures.
best looking, cleanest looking, cherry's a good one, because it's only got the color that I wish it was. You know, I like this one, or this one, sometimes you want a little bit of depth, so you'll go, higher power, slower speed. We did an inlay, so we took a walnut box that we made on CNC, and I cut a cherry thing and inlaid it into walnut, so I had cardboard in. I don't have to remember what the cardboard settings are. It's all right here.
So you, like, she does.
Yes.
Every time it's the same, she's that.
Yeah, just
Red oak.
yeah, oak and gray. And if she has different settings for white oak versus red oak, then save, one for just create one layer. So that's white oak, yeah. So yeah, I've got oak down here, no thickness, which is for engraving. And I usually do that on this machine, so 500 millimeters a second, percent power. So it looks really good.
She has different, like, she does the dispensers that are stains.
Mhm.
Those are white.
That's white oak, yeah.
But then her barrel, and she has a different power. So she can keep on like
Then you can just save it, save it as state, save it as lid, or whatever you wanna call it, so that it makes sense to you, because you're the one doing it. Like I've got, settings for leather and leatherette, the fake stuff. We cut foam for some of our boxes.
That's your one thing.
I've got leather, I've got stuff that most people get never ever do. The acrylic, whatever, different things. This is just nice, but I also have notebooks, that I can write everything down in. I haven't touched this in a while,
I know.
but I can write all the things down in a notebook too, which is nice. Chunks.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to have it on
So
paper.
park over here and I'll show you.
Redundancy, because, technology just happens.
Next to,
Oh my gosh, my library, my library disappeared. What do I do?
right, these are the clouds that have that.
Sometimes that happens.
You see how that's now, it's a half an inch, then it steps down to steel, then it steps down to that, going to the regular.
So we are
Yep.
going to come and help set the machine up. And
This is like
and I
half inch to
hook up here and
38.
stuff. Our air compressor is outside, it's on the other side of that exterior wall in the shed.
No.
We have a big one too.
This is
though.
all 3 inch.
And
So,
so now it's cutting.
See how
That's what I
it-
it's not cutting.
right, but you got to put disconnects.
And then all my tubing.
What size of equipment
Where's all my
I think that's 3/8 a quarter, I don't know, I've got I have a shit ton of amounts out there. Whatever it comes down to, whatever I have to use, just replace them and call it good.
I do practice this about cardboard.
Come on.
So
No,
like
that goes both in there.
her sign cake, I'll make them out of cardboard. And sometimes I'll just color it with markers,
Yeah.
kind of real quick, just to get an idea and see how it's gonna look. Or paint markers or something, just to see, just really where it wants.
Yeah.
Before I waste material, because stuff just keeps going up.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
So this is like, somebody ordered that?
No, I just made some for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I liked the design, so I made one, and had it
But it gives
out
you
front.
visual.
But this, yeah, like, do I really like it enough to
Uh-huh.
actually make it? And it
Right.
doesn't take long to cut it real quick out of cardboard. Now the coloring it sometimes, obviously I didn't fully color that.
That thing is really cool.
Huh?
Your-
Oh, yeah, that's a freebie file.
I
That's a
saw
freebie.
somebody doing that.
And
I don't
there's-
remember where.
So there's Star Wars, there's, Marvel, there's a bunch of different ones. Yeah, they're just free. It's the Aztec calendar is what they're called.
Okay.
So yeah, Star Wars Aztec calendar.
Yeah, I saw somebody pulled that up as an example. And lots of
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't really. So let's see if the seats cut through. Yeah. It didn't even fully cut through on this, but because of what this outer setting was. So that's a bummer that I didn't get all her stuff for her. but
So why didn't it come
because of the power and speed settings for this
through? Okay.
layer, because that's what all the colors are called layers.
Yeah.
It's not really worth it to get out. So you can see for this material, you wouldn't want to go any faster than 15 millimeters a second. These aren't round because I shrunk it and did weird things to it. You know, so this may not be a material that she wants to use, just because you know you are going to have to go slower.
Find a new material.
So yeah, I don't know if she actually uses this for her. Is this what she uses for the signs?
Yeah, which is her parties.
Mhm.
That's what she usually cuts her.
So yeah, she'll be going, you know, 15 millimeters a second. Okay, so her laser is going to be a little bit more powerful too, so that helps. Now if I put this and ran it in here, it would cut through it a lot easier. And this is 130 watt. That's only B, but she's getting 100.
Yeah.
So. I feel like there's like so much more I should. So she had this that saved as a JPEG, and I was like, why? And she's like, that's what RD works. And I was like, no, you want everything as an SVG. You need a vector file. So with the JPEG, then you have to bring it in. I had to trace it and everything, which sometimes things trace great because it's nice crisp clean lines like that was. Sometimes it's not, and it's awful, and it doesn't want to trace. It's a giant pain in the mind. This, you know, because it was just, you know, a font and stuff, it was fine. If I were cutting this, I would have just put it in the font. That way I didn't have such thin,
Yeah.
because then trying to glue those on, unless you get, this. It's only got the sticky on the back of it. And you can buy sheets of this 3M stuff and put it on your stuff so that then, like when they make their signs, they literally just,
Is this in wood too, or just color?
you can order it, but you can also order sheets of, or rolls of the 3M stuff.
Oh.
So like I got a little sample piece of it when we ordered from something, I don't remember
That
what.
would save so much.
Uh-huh. It's not cheap though. That's why I only have this. But I think I am gonna switch one of the other guys that has a laser.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, everybody loves this stuff. So you just apply it to your, so for something like this, you would just apply it to the back side of it, and then you just peel it back in and stick it in place. And what people do to make sure that they're sticking it all in the right place is that they're backer boards. So the key, you would score this shape smaller. You would offset it to the inside to make it smaller. So you select it, you go to this offset inward by like 2 millimeters. And this line here is now the new lines. I would score that on the key, which is just a really fast, lower power cut. Because you're not cutting all the way through, you just wanted to draw the line. And I do that on both machines at 100 millimeters a second. And you just have to figure out what power is right for your material in your machine. Almost everything that I do, I can run at this setting. Now I have certain materials, certain images, like I tried to do this really cute little bunny thing on some earrings, but because it was so small, it just looked terrible, so I had to engrave it. I didn't just quick score it. I've got some little recipe boards that I do, and I not do any of that cut portion, you would just do the score, so you know where to set things. Another thing that people do, to know where to set things, is to cut this exact thing, or maybe make it a little bit bigger, out of the cardboard, set it down, and then they place everything inside of the cardboard and make sure that it's all right. I haven't done that, but I've seen that that's what some people do, when they're doing something like this. But yeah, this, you don't have to deal with the glue. Like I said, I haven't done it yet, but other people have, and
Yeah.
love it, love it, love
Yeah.
it. So, one of the guys that we know, actually did for a lot of Christmas ones, Christmas time, that he had to glue layers together or whatever. And then you don't have to worry about, oh, the glue got over the edge, and I've
Yeah.
gotta get my little thing, and I've gotta like
Yeah.
get it off when it's
Yeah.
at just the right stack, you know, like,
Yeah.
ugh, such a pain. Sometimes that takes so long just cleaning up from the glue,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then this sticks. Sometimes it's like you think you had enough glue, and then maybe it wasn't, and then your letter pops off,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah, well, that's pretty simple there.
yeah, yeah. So I'm so kind of excited to try that. I think I am gonna buy a larger roll of it, and then figure out how to put it on and all that stuff too.
That would be fun. So your lid rock looks like you glued that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything is glued.
So is this just stuck in there, or did it?
Yeah, there may have been like a denser spot in the wood there, and that's why it just kind of didn't pop out.
So you would leave it, or you would push it out?
Doesn't matter. I'm gonna get a little, so. So I cut jigs that I can put in the machine and then set whatever I'm engraving in there. And this is also saved in Lightburn, so I do my designs inside of the things,
You just put like 9?
whatever, yeah, whatever you're doing. So
Yeah.
this was for, wooden squares. But anyway, and then you take this layer, so we don't actually want to do this layer, and you just turn the output off. So it's still there, you can still see it to do the things, but the laser's not going to do it. I have some things where I always want to have that frame or whatever, and I do all that stuff in black. I really don't like, when I got started with Lightburn, they didn't have this T1 and T2, so I did never get used to using them, and I honestly don't like them. They don't act how I think they should act, if that makes sense. So I just use black as my, I don't ever do anything with it color. For me, that makes things easier to have. Blue is always engraving on wood, red is always cutting on wood. This is the color that I'm using now for when I just do the score, that just thin line. And then, I don't remember what I used. Oh, the suede mats, acrylic, tumblers, power soda tumblers, cups.
Yes.
So, like this cup.
Yes.
And this is the
Are
rotary.
you planning on doing tumblers and cups and things of that nature?
I was going to possibly save the boss, 1420, just do it in there, just don't change it out.
Well, I guess it's all over. I'm not sure if you enjoyed it or not. If you watched the whole thing and you made it this far, fantastic. I'm sorry. I'm a firm believer the mind can only absorb what the ass can take. So, you know, with that being said, I apologize for the shaking of the camera and anything else that pisses somebody off. Not that I really give a shit. However, again, thanks for watching. Feel free, leave a comment if you got any questions about other things that we may not have covered. And other than that, have a great day.